Kase Kilchrist, welcome to the VoQuest podcast, man. Thanks for making the time to be here. I know you're a busy business owner, and so it means a lot that you take the time to spend with us to share with our audience what you do, what a day in the life is like, how you got there, what you wish you knew when you were 17 or 18. And so to kick things off, share with us what it is that you do today.
Yeah. Yeah. First off, absolutely. Appreciate you guys having me on this thing, Charles. Hopefully, maybe I say one or two things that adds value to anybody listening. Um, but yeah, let's go straight into the first thing. So what I do today is I own an online coaching business. That is the easiest way to summarize and sum up what I do.
Cool. And what are you coaching?
Yeah, so I specifically coach females ages from 30 to 45 is the typical range. And we coach people through hormone panels, lifestyle habit changes. So I don't coach bodybuilders necessarily, but what I do coach is people who, want to lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds, or maybe not even lose any weight at all, but just want to feel and look more comfortable and confident in their work clothes on their beach trip, or just have a better inner dialogue with themselves. So that's a little bit of what I do.
Sure. So it'd be in the health and fitness and wellness category, right?
Correct, correct.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh,
And
so a
how
lot of
long?
lifestyle changes, stuff like that.
Yep. I love studying like biohacking and
Yes.
how I can optimize focus and performance, and I enjoy working out, and so I get really excited about all this stuff, and I think um, this is a huge category that I would have went back and told myself at 17 or 18 a few things that I've learned specifically when it comes to abusing my body in my early 20s,
Yeah.
not sleeping well. So this is a cool context for young people. Um, what is a day in the life like for you? So if you're coaching ladies who have these goals,
Mhm.
how do you do that? Are you doing it remotely? Are you doing it in person?
Yeah.
What does the day to day look like?
Yeah. So from a day to day for me looks like I'll give you as detailed. So buckle up. It might be a little more than you guys think.
No, go
But
for it.
I work from home, right? So it's a blessing and a curse at times. Everybody who works from home knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I mean, I wake up. We have certain check-in days. So if it's a check-in day, what that looks like is all of my clients are going to send in their check-ins. What that looks like is they'll respond to a questionnaire, and they'll submit pictures, and they'll submit different metrics for me to review based on their week. And then what I do from there is I kind of review what their week looked like, what type of changes need to be made in their programming moving forward. And like I said, this is on a standard typical check-in day.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I'll go through my client roster, and that'll usually take me about an hour and a half to 2 hours to go in, read through everybody's feedback, see what their week was like, and assess progress and what changes need to be put in place for the program moving forward. So let's say it's a non-check-in day. I'm talking to clients throughout the day. Obviously, it's all online, right? It's all remote. So communication is as much as texting people, how was your workout, right? How's your
Hmm.
digestion? Seeing what the scale did last night. How are you feeling emotionally, physically, stuff like that. So it's a lot of back and forth conversations going on to, I guess, gauge progress, gauge the
Hmm.
client retention and how they're doing, their adherence, excuse me. So yeah, day in the life looks like waking up. I'm a big gym person, obviously. So I'll wake up,
Yeah.
eat some food, get to the gym, come back, ready to start my day for work. And yeah, just kind of seeing what fires need to be put out. It's kind of hard to say, all right, this is what my day is always going to look like, because
Sure.
it's all different. Sometimes I'm working on responding to clients. Sometimes I'm working on building out a new app. Sometimes I'm working on building out a new client meal plan or workout plan. So it really does vary day to day, but for the most part, it's a lot of online communication back and forth over text, whether that's a call, maybe a Loom video, whatever that may be. And then obviously going over client programming, seeing where changes need to be happening. And yeah, that would kind of be a day in the life, right?
Yeah.
It's managing people, right? There's a
Yep.
plan in place, seeing if that plan is effective or ineffective, and then in turn, what needs to change for it to become an effective plan. So yeah, just lots of putting out fires. That's what I do for a
Yeah.
living.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so with that, I would also assume that's like the execution of the core business function. but
Right.
you're also, as running a business, you mentioned, there's other things that you have to do to run the business. Like you said, and it would be in addition to the programming, to the client check-ins, the customer service, you're also doing, making sure that billing's rolling, marketing's happening,
Mhm.
strategies happening for the business. We have a mutual friend. I know you're doing some projects with him to help increase business operations. There's This is again something else I want to kind of extract from you that at 17 or 18, I didn't understand at the time,
Yeah.
what all goes into working for yourself, running your own business.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you want to discuss anything related to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, just like you brought up, that would is, kind of what a client-facing day looks like. It's, if I'm interacting
Hmm.
with clients. But yeah, when I'm not interacting with clients, every business owner knows you're putting on a different hat, probably
Mm,
every 10 minutes, right?
yeah.
So some of the back end stuff that you have to worry about as a business owner, that I would have never thought about at 17 or 18 years old is preparing for tax season. Who would have guessed it?
Yeah.
Uh,
That's
first,
important.
first time around, it catches you off guard if you're not prepared for it, which wholeheartedly I was not prepared for. But I learned my lesson. I'm prepared this time around. So don't come for me, IRS. Outside of that, it's a lot of tracking other things called KPIs, key performance
Hmm.
indicators. So things about like, I'm personally, a lot of my business is on social media. So tracking, lead engagement in terms of DMs sent, DMs, inbound DMs, outbound DMs, how many people are responding, what's the rate of people blocking me, the percentage of people blocking my ads. You're managing stuff like that. You're managing money going in, money coming out. So for me, I have a handful of employees that work underneath, trying to all do the same job, right? So it's like being able to manage. All right, are we going to be in the red this month, or am I going to be able to eat dinner tonight? It's like
Yeah.
every business owner has to ask himself that question every now and again. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's a lot of managing commas, managing zeros, seeing where your money is being allocated and where
Hmm.
it's being allocated. If you could remove it, and put it towards something else that's going to move the needle forward, move the ball down the field. You're making those decisions every single day. But yeah, I would say, like I said, that was much of the client facing day in the life. Outside of that, you have a lot of back end systems to worry about. Your QuickBooks, your Stripe, your process, any payment processor. You're tracking leads. You're looking at your ad spend throughout the month. You're looking at your conversion rates. So there's so many things outside of just being a pretty face on social media that goes into a social media business. And that's the one thing that nobody talks about, right?
Yep.
Cool to when Vine was hitting the scene, everybody wanted to be making Vines and being the next King Bash, the next comedian, right? And,
Hmm.
but nobody saw the hours of scripting that goes into each and every one of his videos. That's something that I've learned myself, right? I script out all my videos, and the entire time when I just consume content, I just think, huh, it's a funny video. 2 likes, and then I scroll, double tap, and I scroll, right? And now when you're on the other side of this, you start to understand there's a whole like job, there's a whole skill, a technique that goes into, your cadence, your flow, the tempo, the words that you're using. So it is much more than just setting up a tripod and recording your silly little videos at the end of the day. I know I
Hmm.
get made fun of all the time by people ahead of me, my peers even, and those that are in the outside world looking in, so to speak. It's very comical to tell them, oh no, I worked pretty hard on those videos, kind of thing. But yeah, those are just some things that I personally didn't think about getting into this online space and
Hmm.
owning a business outside of this client facing what I do. But
That's really amazing to hear, helpful to hear, and especially like you just breeze past it, but you take some flack from
yeah,
peers and other people who don't get it, who haven't been on the other side of what it takes to produce the type of content that will grow your business.
yeah,
And I think that's super helpful for a young person to hear and understand because especially in anything online, like user experience for whether it's a custom app or a um, a website, like everything's geared to be incredibly simple, intuitive, and easy. And because we interact with these multi-billion-dollar companies all day, every day that make everything very user-friendly, easy to consume, I
yeah,
don't think many people realize how much time, money, effort, and energy goes into making things seem incredibly simple and easy. And
yeah,
so it's
yeah,
good to think through the skills that would be required to be honed and developed and practiced. And also just, I mean, I don't know if you want to speak to this at all, but the mindset of being able to receive that slack and be able to laugh it off or let it roll off you and not impede you from being able to move forward and continue to get better and grow your business. Because some people might uh, get that kind of feedback and it could crush them.
Yeah,
Anything you want to say on that?
absolutely. So I mean, I definitely grew up as a people pleaser. So growing in and like seeing people, very close to me kind of poke joke or poke what am I trying to say? Make jokes and poke fun at what I'm
Yeah,
doing,
yeah.
setting up the camera, being a little influencer. So it definitely did affect me more than I have ever admitted of actually getting in and like being 10 toes down on this social media and this content creation world. The biggest thing that I had to understand and teach myself in real time was I had to learn and continue to remind myself that if somebody doesn't have the life that you want, why would you let them dictate the life that you should have? Why should you let them put their opinions on you of what your life should look like, right? To where it's like, right, my parents, for example, love them. Shout out to my mom and dad if you guys watch this. But what it really is, it's like it was so much of like, you guys respectfully don't live the life that I want to be living. So as much as you love your mom and dad, there's some principles, there's some lessons that are applicable to you, and then there are other principles, other lifelong lessons that just aren't applicable, right? Where what I'm saying is, if you are let's say you're going to school and your teachers are constantly saying you need a fallback plan, you should go get a degree in teaching, you should go do this, but the entire time you don't want to be a teacher. It's like, why are you listening to what a teacher's perspective is on what you should be, of who you should be? So I think the hardest thing for me was to learn that, and learning on my own, not having somebody be like, hey, somebody's going to make fun of you, but just keep going and learn. It's okay. People throw rocks at things that shine. That's something that I've learned. But yeah, I would say the biggest thing was look up to people that have the life that you want, right? And see what they're doing, see what they would answer to you. If you can get close enough to that person to ask them, that's money. But if you can, it's like you have to put yourself in their shoes. How are they thinking? Would they have quit when you got your first no? So I think the biggest thing, if I could just summarize all that word vomit, would truly be, yeah, be able to figure out what you want your life to look like, and if the person that is giving you negative feedback, making fun of you, doesn't live the life that you want, screw it, man. Screw it. Keep going. The world sun will rise, and then we'll still have breath in our lungs. But
Yeah, that's good. I think another principle that could be derived from that as well is essentially what you're describing is being able to invert feedback and
yeah,
say, like, understand where someone's coming from. It's like you're saying that because that's you think differently than me.
hmm,
And so because you think differently and you're pursuing different goals or you have different values or different things that you want out of life or your career, your work, or whatever it is, you can receive their feedback and then understand this doesn't apply to me. It's not that it's wrong. It's just different.
absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's really good. It's not easy, at least in times when I've had feedback like that. As someone who likes to be a people pleaser, make people happy,
Yeah.
it takes some getting used to, being able to interpret that correctly so that you can move forward. But that's good. So you haven't always done this, right?
Mhm.
How did you get where you are? How did you get to the place of being a business owner, having your systems? What did you do before?
Yeah.
What was the journey like for you?
Yeah. So as everybody would tell you, it's never linear. I remember when I was uh junior, sophomore in high school, right? All your friends kind of starting to be like, oh, I'm going to start going to this school. I'm going to apply
Hmm.
here. I want to be this after graduation. I'm going to get this degree. And I was never like that. I never really knew what I wanted to do. So I went a lot of different ways, right? I researched this major, researched this occupation, and I do all that. But eventually I landed on, I loved working with kids. I love working with developmental disabilities
Mm.
specifically. And so I attached those two together and I'm looking at the school curriculum. I'm like, all right, what's going to be the easiest major that I can have that'll get me to the end goal of working around kids, and working that population, that community of people. So all that to say, I graduated from Missouri State with a child and family development degree. Um, I started out also, so I started out as an elementary education major. That was at a different school. I played basketball over there, random fact. And then transferred over. Then I switched my major not once, but twice. So yes, I did change a couple times, but
Mhm.
did law child and family development, graduated with that degree, and then I put it into use. My first job out of college, I got a job not even a month out of school. Being a male in a predominantly female industry, it was not the hardest thing for me to get a job right out of school. And I worked as what is called an autism specialist over at a behavioral clinic here in town. And I worked there for about 9 months. I don't think I made it a whole year with my
Oh, wow.
first 9 to 5 ever, first full time job. And don't get me wrong, I love the people. To this day, I still run by the clinic and still say hi to everybody that I used to work alongside of. But yeah, I absolutely have nothing but love for everybody that I came across in there. But very early on, I knew to myself, I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. I can't
Hmm.
wake up, have the exact same schedule, have the exact same sleep schedule, and do this the rest of my life and be contained in this what felt like a box for me, right? I just I
Yeah.
couldn't do that. But that's not to say I don't still love the people that I worked with and all that and all that too. So I'm kind of taking the long way to get into what I'm
No,
doing.
you're good. Yeah.
So yeah, I worked there for about 8 months, 9 months. And then funny enough, I had a random couple. I was just working out before my 9 to 5, right? And I had a random couple come up to me. Hey, you look like you know what you're doing. Could you teach us some? And I was like, huh, it's a weird thing to ask. But absolutely, I love it. I love the gym. I wasn't a trainer at that point. And yeah, so I helped them out with 2 workouts, 3 workouts. And then
Hmm.
what that turned into was that couple working out with me before my job. And then from there, it quickly turned into I was training in the morning. Then I'd come back and train this couple after my 9 to 5. And then they were like, you're really good at this. Have you ever thought about like being a trainer? I was, no, I just went 4 years to school for this. I'm not going to go be, but then long story short, one thing led to another, left my 9 to 5, started going full time in training for in-person training. And that went really great. I saw some early success doing that. But what I saw was I hit that ceiling, that same
Hmm.
ceiling I saw at that 9 to 5. And
Mhm.
anybody that knows me knows that if I hit a ceiling, I start to freak out. I just feel stagnant and being in one place. So yeah, after
Real quick, can you describe what that was like? Were you operating out of a gym? Did you work for the gym? Were you independent?
yeah,
So how'd you kinda make that transition?
Yeah, so I started out not being a trainer at all. I was just literally helping out some people that just helping out with some, "Oh, yeah, you should do this with your bicep curl. You should try doing this instead of that for your squat." So it really just happened. I was just conversationally helping people out. And then they were the ones that are like, "You're really good at this instruction and making it make sense." So then what happened was I became an independent contractor for a gym here in town.
Okay.
Uh, and yeah, so it's kind of independent contractor, make your own clientele, all that stuff to where I trained underneath their umbrella, which is a great gym in town here. The best I would argue. But yeah, I'd start out as an independent contractor.
Did you have to do any profit share with the gym since you're getting your own clientele, or are
Yeah.
they okay.
So there's not a profit share, so to speak, but it's rather you pay an overhead. You have the trainer overhead that you pay one time every month, and then outside of that, you take home all your clientele because they don't do any like lead magnets or they
Yeah.
don't do leads or anything like that. It is all you build. You'll live or die by your lead flow in
Yeah.
person. But
And so their benefit is they're able to say, "Hey, we have trainers here," and then the people that you bring in get a membership to their gym,
absolutely,
and you don't have the overhead of having to own a gym, and all
absolutely,
the equipment. That makes sense.
yeah. So there are a
That's really
few
cool.
there are various payment structures where like box gyms, commercial gyms, private gyms, all this stuff.
Mhm.
Uh, But yeah, for the most part, you'll either have all right, if you have a personal trainer, that trainer will take 20 or that the gym, excuse me, will take 25% or 35% of every session that you train that day,
Mhm.
as a trainer. Or other gyms will just be like, hey, just pay us this flat fee, excuse me, at the beginning of the month, and then whatever you make, you get to take home kind of thing. And then you have other gyms who will filter you clients and that their charge might be even more than 25, 35% kind of thing. But yeah, I think I like the payment structure that's at the current gym that I'm at.
Yeah, that sounds nice because then there's no ceiling. Sky's the limit if you're
Exactly.
able to grow your client base.
Yep.
Um, I was gonna ask one more thing related to that. Do you have to have any type of certifications or, any licenses to be able to do this in a gym?
Yeah. So in order to every gym owner is going to have their own kind of preferences on which certification, stuff like that. But for your trainer, you got your main bread and butter ones. You got your NASM, NASM, and your ISSA. I can say that a bunch of times and stutter every single time. But those are going to be your main two in the industry, your top dogs, if you will.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, those are to be an in-person trainer. Those are the first ones that you're going to have if you're training on the gym floor. And then of course you have to have your own gym liability insurance and stuff like that. All the fun stuff that nobody tells you about until you start training people, stuff that you have to get. But yeah, those certifications are not 4-year degrees by any means. Each of those
Sure.
or certifications that I just mentioned could be done in maybe a month, maybe a month. I
Wow.
mean, on average, it's like 3 months, 4 months, right? But what those are intended to do is to be kind of like the foundation for, let's say, a plumber wants to get into being a personal trainer. That's your foundation of X, Y, and Z, right? But it's intended to then grow and continue to build and expand your knowledge in the field. Uh, but the biggest thing that we see with trainers is they'll get that certification and it should be done and then quit furthering their education. And those are the ones that you can kind of see from a mile away. Those that yeah, that do that. No hate to
Yeah.
any if that's your cup of tea, go for it, but
Yeah.
just know
No.
good trainers running laps around you. But
That's in every industry, and that's a competitive edge.
yeah,
Which I'm glad you brought that up because I like to highlight that because it sounds like you might have been somewhat similar to me. I hated school. I
mhm,
really,
yeah,
really did.
yeah,
And it's funny because after I graduated and when I started working in my first business, it was, I became an avid student. Like it was like, oh, I need to know this. I need to study that. I need to research this.
yeah,
Like then I loved learning. I just hated school. I hated the forced curriculum for the most part. I mean, there were some classes that were better than others, right? But I'm glad you mentioned that because I think it's helpful for someone who might not love whatever curriculum or whatever class structure they're stuck in right now.
yeah,
Learning, like you don't have to hate learning or you don't have to hate reading. It's just maybe you're not, in your sweet spot. Or what I think was true for me too is I had a hard time bridging the theory from the application and from the execution of how I was going to use it. Like
yeah,
it just all felt like a lot of theory. And so I was like, this is pointless for me today.
mhm,
So I don't know if you have anything you want to share on just kind of continued personal development, and how that can be a competitive edge because there are people out there who will do the bare minimum and that's, a good thing for someone who's willing to continue refining and honing their skills.
yeah. So I mean, I'm in the exact same boat. Like you said, I did not like school at all. I was the one that nobody thought I was gonna even make it out, right? And I barely did. So at my freshman year, I was coming out leaving my freshman year, I think with like sorry for saying this out loud, mom, but I think I had like a 2.7 GPA, 2.8, something not too crazy, 2.6, mate. I think it was like a 2.6. I can't even lie. But
And
like
are you talking about college or high school?
this is college. This is
Okay,
college.
okay. I was gonna say, if
Like,
you knew your GPA in high school, which we haven't said this yet, but you were homeschooled like me, so I didn't have a GPA in high school.
yeah, no. So it was one of those things where I just didn't apply myself, right? And it was the
Yeah,
exact same thing of I didn't see the need for it, therefore I didn't apply myself because I was like, I'm never gonna need this. This
yeah,
is boring to me. I couldn't
mhm,
interested. Um, but similar to exactly what you just said, now I realized that I just didn't enjoy being a student to school, but I enjoyed the student in every other aspect. I love to learn about anything under the sun. It was just the form of learning that I was being taught, the form of education I was inside of. I just wasn't a big fan of the.
mhm.
But yeah, I totally lost sight of your question. I'm trying to retrace what
Oh,
you
just
said.
about, like, continued education
Yeah,
and, being able to continue to
that
stay,
was like that.
ahead of competition by, refining your skill set beyond school or certification or whatever it is that helps you get started.
100%. Yeah. So I think if you go into business, I think it's the number one way to pick out your flaws and to maximize your insecurities, right? So I do not like numbers. When you become a business owner, you have to become good at numbers if you want to learn how to eat food and not eat ice cubes breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? Numbers are who would have guessed, but numbers are an important thing, especially from a business perspective. So what I'm saying is, yeah, it really brings out your flaws. Everybody likes to keep their insecurities, their weaknesses down low. I think
Uh-huh.
being in business is the number one way to expose those flaws and those weaknesses. And you either have two options. You either give up right then and there when you figure out you're weak at half the things that are required, or you can buckle up and start to learn it, start to teach it to yourself,
Yeah.
start to grow in those areas. And I think any person who's meant for this business owner might has this specific mindset that's just cut out for there's no give up. There's no quit. It's kind of
Yeah.
like I'm gonna learn it today, 5 years from now, 10 years, but I'm going to learn it, whether it's $5 or $5,000 for me to invest, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think continued education is great. I think being able to expand your knowledge on any topic is going to benefit you more than it will ever hurt you. You can never
Uh-huh.
know much knowledge. You can never have too much information. But I
Can,
do
can
believe, yeah,
I was gonna say, can I insert a third option too?
yeah,
There's also there's this great book. It's called Who Not How.
mhm,
And so you do need to understand as a business owner, like be able to have ownership over your business. And at the same time, you can find experts like accountants, like that
yeah,
can help you with the things that aren't best for you to be hyper focused on.
absolutely,
Um, so there is that element too, but you have to be able to get by and get to a place where you can afford expert help.
yes.
So there might be short term pain, but there is another third option as well as you scale.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, like I just mentioned, I do not like numbers. I hate math, all sorts of forms of math. But yeah, that was something that I was the belly of the beast that I had to just conquer for my first few years. But now it's like, yeah, on the other side of that, I have a CPA that I work with to where I just send him screenshots. I do boom, 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 and he kind of takes care of the rest, right? To where I don't have to worry about tax season again. I don't have to worry about this or
Yeah.
that. So yeah, exactly what you just said of at the beginning stages, you have to run it as lean as possible to where I think I'm wearing every hat under the book. But now it's like, I think as I grow, as a person and then also as a business owner, I'm learning that you have to delegate. You have to delegate work. Exactly what you just said. I'm going to piggyback off of that. Yeah, it's okay to understand your weaknesses and try to get better. But I think a great leader is like, no, you never want to be the smartest person in the room. That's something that somebody told me. Stuck with me. It stuck with me. So there are people that are doing jobs in my program, in my business, who are 10x smarter than me, more intelligent than me, more efficient than me. And it's because I don't want to be the smartest in the room. I find what my weaknesses are, what I'm absolutely just very bad at, poor at, and I find people who are really good at those, and I connect the pieces to ensure that somebody who's really poor at this skill set is not trying to achieve or accomplish that said goal. That kind of makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it does. Absolutely. Um, so if we could kind of pivot, because I think this is helpful and fascinating, especially for anyone who wants to go into working for themselves and understanding that the pathway isn't always perfectly mapped and linear. Like you weren't even planning on doing this. Got a degree for something very different than this, and you love what you do now. You get to work for yourself. It's like
Mhm.
perfect for you. And I think that's really helpful for someone to understand. But I'm also curious because of your expertise and what you do. Do you have any health tips that you could share from a fitness perspective, diet, nutrition, or anything like that that would be ideal for someone 17 or 18 to start to implement or think about?
That's a great one. That's a great one. I really try to stay away from giving very generalized advice, right?
Okay.
In the social media world, you see all these blanketed statements.
Yep.
But what I would say would be to a 17 or 18-year-old specifically, oof, stay away from peptides, stay away from steroids, stay away from anabolics, all that stuff. You're not fully grown. It's going to hurt you more than it'll harm, or it's going to hurt you more than it'll help you right now.
Hmm.
So yeah, if anybody's 17 or 18 looking at getting into the steroid use and it's like you haven't even stepped on stage, 2, you're not even tracking your nutrition, 3, your sleep is pretty bad. It's like there's so many other areas that you need to address. So becoming an enhanced gym bro. Bro, so let's say somebody's trying to put on weight. 17, 18-year-old, that's exactly when I started working out. I think a few years before that, but that time frame. I wanted to do everything under the sun. I kept looking at guys in the 90s training, the early 2000s. They'd be at the gym for 2 hours, 3 hours a day. And I would go and have that same type of workout. But what I didn't realize is that these people were taking grams upon grams of gear per week, to where gear being steroids, and that's
Yeah.
just something we're not taking. So what I would say to a 17 or 18-year-old, who some advice would be to stay natural. Um, Stay on top of your nutrition, learn your macros, learn protein, carbohydrates, your fats, learn what a calorie surplus is versus a deficit. Learn how to structure your program efficiently and effectively. The longer, more is not always more in the gym scene. It's typically less is more, right? So what I would say was, yeah, and don't crowd the benches. If you're going, don't crowd the benches and be on your phone for 20 minutes, please.
Yeah. So,
I mean, yeah,
that's good. And so I could also interpret from that, um, you not wanting to give, like, blanketed advice, for specific protocols or whatnot. Could you intuit from that then it's best to work with an expert who can craft a ideal program or an ideal regimen or protocols for you specifically based on your goals, based on the outcomes you want, based on your current metabolic profile or um, your starting point or your background and all of that? Is that kind of, am I understanding and reading into that correctly as well?
100% you are. Obviously, I'm biased, but I'm saying, guys, don't work with me. I'm not saying work with me, but yes, if you are trying to go from point A to point B, it's kinda like your car, right? If you're on E already and you try to start a road trip across the country, that tank's gonna fill. If you, be empty, you're gonna stop your road trip. And that's essentially what happens with fitness journeys, is because people start with all this, let's say, a tank half full. They have all that motivation. Then they start to use their energy and they make no progress. Their wheels aren't spinning or going anywhere, right? And then their tank's on E, and then they give up. So, I mean, my best advice is, yeah, absolutely. Be with somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah,
That is, you can either pay your trainer or your coach, your mentor now, or you're going to reap the consequences and pay the hospitals, the doctors, 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, because you didn't take care of your body now. But what I would say, obviously, everybody makes the argument of, aren't you afraid AI, ChatGPT is taking your job? No, no, there's not a thought in my brain that makes me worried for that, because there's not going to be anybody that's going to replace me getting on a Zoom call with a client, or texting a client every other day, or every day for some of them. You're not going to have a ChatGPT can't even individualize workout programs, right? It's going to give you a very generic workout program based on thousands upon thousands of databases that'll curate this program. But the entire time, it doesn't know that one leg is longer than the other leg. It doesn't know how to be with you in the gym and instruct you on a Bulgarian split squat or a Nordic hamstring curl, whatever it may be. It's gonna very generalized. And I'm not a hater of ChatGPT. I actually love it. I tell my clients, even if they're like, "Hey, if you don't have any ideas of what to eat, do this. Here's a prompt. Boom, boom, boom."
mm,
It's very good, but I don't think it can replace a trainer and or a coach. Uh, because let's say motivation is the number one reason why people fall off on their fitness journey. ChatGPT is not going to be texting you. I hate to break it to you guys, but it's not going to be texting you when you missed your workout, or if it's not going to be checking in on you to make sure you're eating the right macros. It's not going to be checking in on you to make sure you're sleeping correct, right? So you have to go to it, but it'll never come to you. As of now, as of this recording, it's not coming to us and being self sufficient, going to keep us in the gym. So a little bit of a long answer, but yeah, I think it's very important for somebody to have a trainer if you want to make progress, and not just say that, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds this summer, or I want to get rid of this flabby back arm, or actually have some toned abs and get rid of this lower belly fat. And if you say that and you actually want it, I'd 100% recommend being with somebody who can literally just say, all right, here's the roadmap. This is what it's going to take to get there. Boom, here's your plan. Instead of spending all this time, spending all this money on these cheap apps, on these cheap the foods, these new foods that are coming out, this detox drink that this influencer just sold me on, like, you're better off just finding somebody who knows what they're talking about and getting you from point A to point B. So that's my long answer for that question.
that's good. Yeah. I heard a coach one time say, um, you you pay attention when you pay.
Yeah,
or maybe it was
absolutely.
backwards, like those who pay attention. And I think
Yep.
that's something that you talk about the human element.
Mhm.
Even if ChatGPT sends you reminders, um, it's so easy to ignore. When it's
Yeah,
a human on the other end, especially one that you're paying to get the results that you want, your buy-in is so much greater,
in the game.
which helps you get the results you actually want.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So, I mean,
yeah.
I coach people for free, right?
Mhm.
It's family, and the ones that are always free are always the ones that never reach their goal. But the ones who do pay me what my price is are the ones that are going to reach their goal time and time again. I always use the analogy of, let's say you have Netflix on your subscriptions. You're paying, let's say it's $20 a month right now. You're paying $20 a month, but let's say you go 3 months and you don't watch Netflix. Chances are you're going to be like, what am I paying Netflix for, right?
Mhm.
But if you go and you're paying for Netflix, you're going to force yourself to watch Netflix. I don't care if it's the Paw Patrol. It's like you're going to find on Netflix if you're paying for it because you're going to get your money's worth, right? So the exact same analogy or idea applies to training and taking care of your health. It's like, let's say you go to Chipotle, you buy that burrito, you're gonna eat the burrito. But let's say
Yeah.
your bought it for you, you might get full a couple bites away from being done, but you might toss it away because hey, I didn't pay for it, right? So yeah, I've seen this time and time again. When somebody actually pays for what they're getting, they're going to utilize that far more as opposed to if somebody just took it on upon themselves for free. Because yeah, you have skin in the game. You have a you're obligated to yourself essentially to finish what you started and what you paid for.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good. Cool. As it relates to, because I know you're a man of faith,
Huh?
um, you know, I think that's an important thing to consider when talking about career, life planning, you know, following the breadcrumbs, if you will, to find yourself where you are now. Anything you would like to share related to your relationship with God and how it's influenced and affected the career journey that you've been on?
Yeah. Yeah, God is my everything. He saved my life. He is the reason I'm here today. He is my everything, man. And I would not be who I am. I would not be standing in front of you, or I would not have the business that I've been blessed with if God was not actively an active role in my life. So I just want to start with that. Yeah, if you are on the fence about Christianity or having a relationship with God, man or woman, jump to the other side. Go have that relationship with God. You will not regret it. Um, so yeah, I think as a man of faith, it's so easy, so much easier said than done to be like, God is in control of my plans. Because I'm a control freak. I want to know how much money I'm making next quarter, when my next vacation is, when this and that, right? But when you fully surrender your life to God and say, all right, God, I'm in the passenger seat, you take the steering wheel. There's this joy that I've never experienced outside of God that you feel this sense of relief, right? Being a business owner, it's always you always have this stress on your shoulders about next month. What are we planning down the road? Does this employee need what they are they on track of what they need to be doing? Is this client progressing? You have all these different things that you're thinking about
Mhm.
when you have that business owner hat on. But what I would say is when you give it to God, it's you just get this sense of relief, like a burden's taken off your shoulders. You get this breath of fresh air in your lungs of just like, all right, God, whatever you want, whether you want me to have one client, 100 clients, 1,000 clients, it's up to you. Whether you want me to make $2 or $200 or $2 million, it is up to you. You know. But yeah, I think being able to truly believe that and truly rest in what God promises us, is something that, like I said, easier said than done. I'm still learning it myself. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, I'm perfect. It's
Oh,
everybody else struggling with it. No, I struggle with it to this day, man. But what I will say is it's evident in my thought process and my thought patterns rather, when I'm truly following God and when I'm following my fleshly desire of wanting to make more money, wanting to improve status, wanting to expand my network. All these things are selfish and fleshly desires, and it's evident when I say, "All right, God, take the steering wheel. You have control." I'm not even in the passenger seat, dude. I'm in the back seat. I'm in the trunk. Wherever you want to take, I'm going. You know. But yeah, you just I can feel it in my thoughts, the way I talk, the way I act to people around me. It's very evident when I'm walking in what I want versus what God has in store for me.
Mm,
Uh, Another thing I'd add to that is like I was so much of a an avid planner for so long, for so much of my life, to where I planned out, I don't know, be married by this time, have this many kids, live in this region, be doing this for work, this, you know what I'm saying? Uh, Growing up and as I grow closer to God, it's more of like, all right, that's all what you wanted. Now let me look up. Let me direct that question to God. What do you want from me? You know, for most of my life, I always told the world and told myself what I wanted, what I wanted to be, who I wanted to be, how much money I wanted to make. But it was never a matter of what does God want for me and what does He have in store for me. So all that to say, you can plan all you want. You can plan every last down to the shirt you're gonna wear when you propose to your hopefully fiance at the time. It's like you could plan all that, right? But if God doesn't have that in store for you, or if He doesn't establish those steps for you, guarantee it's not gonna work out for you. And I learned that the hard way of trying to fit the peg in the hole so many times and just like, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? Wasn't in God's plan. So if only I would have
yeah,
learned sooner, that would have saved me a lot of tears, headaches, sleep night. So yeah, definitely recommend that you guys, whoever's listening, if you're in that space of, all right, what do I want? What do I want out of life? You know, you have your parents down your back saying, all right, what college are you going to? What's your ACT score? Go study for the SAT. It's like, yes, that's important. Don't get me wrong, right? But it's also important to not allow your parents, your friends, or your own desires to override and contradict, for that matter, of what God has in store and what He's telling you. So I always recommend and advise people to pray. Be
yeah,
big, open to God's word and what He's telling you, His voice, instead of what your school principal, your school counselor is telling you to go pursue because you're good with animals. It's like, well, what if God doesn't have that for you, right? So yeah, that was my TED talk. That was my tangent on that.
no, that's
Man.
great, man. I love it. I was talking to a homeschool co-op last week, and um, I asked him. I said, how many of you want to do God's will for your life?
Mhm,
And the majority of them raised their hand. He's like, great. It's like, how many of you know what God's will is for your life? Because I know we're going to talk about career,
mhm,
and they're all like, oh, I'm not sure. I don't know. And it's like, how many of you know what the great commandment is? And
yeah,
they're all start nodding their head. And it's like, I think a lot of times we separate like the secular from the sacred, and we think that there's this mysterious path of God's will for our secular life or activities. And because of that, we totally miss what we would typically categorize as the spiritual will of God for our lives. And I think it's really helpful when we realize those two things shouldn't be separated. Yeah, we're in the world, we're not of the world, but God tells us explicitly like what his will is for our life
yeah,
in the Bible over and over again. And in the areas where he doesn't, he does, I believe, have a plan for you. And he doesn't tell you for a reason because it grows your faith and it grows your relationship with him when you learn to, just like you said, rely on him, to
mhm,
lean into letting him be the driver, and you being faithful with whatever he's given you to steward, time, talent, treasure, etc. So well said. That's great. So kind of on that topic, I'm curious, Case, what
yeah.
would you tell 17 or 18-year-old Case if you go back and talk to him now?
Man, that's a great one. I think the obvious answer: keep pressing on. Keep pressing on. Dang man, that's a really good one. I think the easiest, if I could summarize in a sentence, was that it's all gonna be all right. If I could tell that
Mm.
17-year-old that was suffering, just in a lot of pain that during that time of my life, it's all gonna be okay. You're gonna make it to tomorrow, and life will handle itself out. And it's gonna turn out okay. Uh, but some more tangible tips. Enough of the gushy mushy stuff. More tangible tips was yeah, I think I at that time frame I was so adamant about figuring out what I wanted to do and knowing for the rest of my life, right? I'm so much like I want to plan it, figure it out, then boom, stick to it like it's
Yep.
on stone. But I think something I've grown to understand and grown to love actually is the beauty in not knowing. Okay. Um, I think there's a beautiful thing about not knowing what you want to do with your career because your opportunity is limitless. If you knew from when you were in middle school, you wanted to be a renowned neurosurgeon. Your track for the rest of your life is already planned out. You know for a fact you're going to be a neurosurgeon, which is it's sick. It's very cool, very very cool,
Yeah.
right? But let's say that same person didn't have the parents drilling in them, "Hey, you're gonna be a neurosurgeon, every other day." They might go and experiment and play with legit fire. They might go into like a, what that pyrometrics, something like that. They might
Pyrotechnics. Yeah.
pyrotechnic, something like that. They might go experiment there. Then they might go check out what an HVAC job would look like. Then they might go see, hey, I wonder if I want to be a model. I might go try to model, you know? All that to say, I'm going to wrap this up by saying, I think there's so much beauty in not knowing what you want to do, because the opportunities for you to evolve, they're limitless. You are not capped out to, all right, I'm in this box. I have to stay in this box for the rest of my life. So as much as society kind of puts pressure on that 17, 18, 19-year-old to know what they want to do for the rest of their life, I think it's so beautiful to be like, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I'm going to figure it out by things, right? Not doing one thing, but by doing things, and not putting all your eggs in one basket, but really going shadow your mom's friend, your brother's coworker, whatever it may be. Just going try new experiences, seeing what you like, seeing what you don't like, I think goes a long way. But in this society, we have so much instant gratification of everything's easily accessible at our fingertips. So we want that same level of delivery in our, all right, boom, that's our career plan. We're in it. We're doing that for the rest of our lives. I think you pigeonhole yourself when you do that and you try to decide so early on, because now you just closed off so many other opportunities that may have been more fun, more engaging for you, and more fulfilling than what you're currently doing, only because you had that pigeonhole, that tunnel vision towards that one career. So yeah, it's my long answer again, once again.
Another great answer. Yeah, no, I love it. That's good. Awesome, man. Well, Case, thank you so much for coming to share your wisdom, your takes, your ideas, your experience with us. Really appreciate it. Any final thoughts or things that you want to add?
I think that sums it up, man. Charles, I
I
appreciate.
think we covered it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we went over a lot. I really appreciate you having me on this. Yeah, that means a lot. It's awesome.
absolutely. Yeah. One thing I'm personally kind of curious about because it was true for me. I was super insecure as a homeschooler.
Yeah,
And I feel like this strong need to prove myself. And because earlier you mentioned like being kind of a people pleaser.
yeah,
I'm curious if you experienced any of that in college or early in your career, kind of leaving the
absolutely.
nest, if you will. Like, do you feel like that played a factor in any way, shape, or form with, what life was like, post high school for you?
Yeah, yeah. I think I definitely did struggle a lot with physical insecurities. I was always kind of like the tall, lanky kid that couldn't put on muscle for
Hmm.
majority of my life, which is a huge reason I got into the gym in the first place. Actually, the only reason, I got into the gym. um, but yeah, I
And it's
think
surprising for those who can't tell, because we only see like a head here, pretty much. Case is pretty jacked, so
I'll take it.
that's
Thank you.
surprising.
Yeah, no. So I mean, up until I would say my senior year of high school is when I started to put on a little bit of weight, and then, like I said, I played basketball still in
Mhm.
college. First year, my freshman year, towards like I didn't get huge. I didn't get super strong. I was still a basketball physique, but I didn't get bodybuilder big until my junior year of college, sophomore junior year of college, when I started taking it more serious and actually putting on quality size. But yeah, I was small. I was always the small one in the group. So I definitely had lots of insecurities. I definitely masked them through humor, through my friend group, through, it wasn't like I was a loner by any means. I had plenty of
Sure.
great friends, great community, but I always was stuck with the same body that I was given. And instead of thinking, all right, I hate my body, I want to change it, I learned that I love my body and I want to reward it because God's given me this body to treat as a temple. I wasn't treating it as
Mm.
a temple at the time, and yeah, so some insecurities that shaped me. I think really, if anything, it made me play with a chip on my shoulder. It really did. And it's something that I'm actually currently working on, trying to pray about, of not of dropping my pride, removing the ego side of things, of playing with that chip on your shoulder. I think it can be
Mhm.
good and it can be bad. Everybody else that plays with a chip on your shoulder, you're good. I'm bad. I don't do it the great way. It's more of, look at me kind of thing. Look at me. If you tell me no, I'm gonna do it anyway. Look at this kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I think those insecurities made me play with a chip on my shoulder. They definitely made me want to prove that I can do what I say I'm gonna do. That I wasn't the dumb kid. I think it's kinda like I have things that I feel like I have to prove because of those insecurities. Um, but yeah, a lot of them I think I not I think, I've definitely given them to God to where I know who I am now. I didn't know who I was, as a homeschooler. Um, being from St. Louis, everybody's like, the first question out your mouth is, "What high school did you go to?" And I'm like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I'm homeschooled." They're like, "Oh, oh." The next thing out of their mouth is always, "But I'm taught you can have a conversation normally." Like, I'm like, "Oh, well, thanks, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate
It
that."
was funny, in high school and in college, that was, like, the greatest compliment you could give me was, "I had no idea you were homeschooled." "You
Yeah.
really?" It's
Yeah, so I mean, I
which
it's not open for sure.
yeah, that's cool. Well, I appreciate that vulnerability and honesty too, and, um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah,
I think, insecurities, they shape you into who you are, because nobody knows the battles you're going through, especially internally, except for you. And similarly, nobody knows those insecurities that you have outside of you, and
yeah,
God. Let me put that out there.
sure,
God,
yeah,
he knows every hair on your head. But,
yeah.
yeah, I think
Well,
the
and I
biggest
think well, I was gonna say, like, again, as a homeschooler, and not everyone who listens to this is homeschooled, but, something that I could speak to that audience that I've learned since, obviously growing older and becoming more mature is, that was just my insecurity.
mm,
Everyone else has their own.
yeah,
Like, and uh, I've also found as I've gotten older and gotten to know people better, a lot of times the people who seem like they don't have any are typically seeming that way because they're working really hard to mask whatever it is that they have. So I
yeah,
think that's helpful to understand, hopefully for a young person who might be dealing with whatever insecurities they're dealing with. It's normal. And again, it's like you said, it's an opportunity for you to leverage that to
mm,
be a motivator and also motivate you to give it to God. I think that's good advice as well. So
yeah,
awesome.
absolutely, so
Case, dude, again, thank you so much. Thanks for doing this, making the time, and we'll stay in touch.
cool, absolutely. Thank you again, once again, for having me on. It was a blast. Love to get into talk a little bit with you today.